Let's hear from the woman at the very back there in the centre.
Yes, on the subject of Tony and his enthusiasm for the euro, which I think is what sparked this question off in the first place.
Tony Blair, this would be rather
yes.
than Tony Benn, yes.
Making a point sort of in that direction, we've had several alterations in interest rate by the Bank of England in, over the course of the last several months. That sort of power, which is a very powerful economic tool in order to control the economy, is going to go if we go into EMU, because the facility of individual member states to alter their own interest rates is automatically restricted by the convergence criteria. We will be totally at the mercy of the European Central Bank.
Instead of Eddie George?
Which is not elected.
Instead
of Eddie George.
Toynbee.
We've got very limited scope for changing.
I find it extraordinary. I find it quite extraordinary what you're saying by implication, what Tony Benn has said quite directly, is that somehow we alone in this country, this brave little offshore island, are uniquely blessed with a kind of democracy that the Germans, that the French, that nobody else understands at all, that they don't have, that they don't value, that somehow we would be giving up something especially precious. And they're such fools and idiots that they're quite happy to hand over their democratic rights without any complaint at all. And that somehow it's part of this British nationalism we were talking about before, part of this belief that we are always right and we are always best. Now, I think our idea of being able to stand outside, of being able to stand outside particularly in the economy, particularly a world economy in the state of such uncertainty as it is now, where it's quite possible that the world's economy is going to be swept into a serious depression, not by anything that's even happened in Europe, but by what's happening to the yen, not even that, but further into Southeast Asia. It seems to me amazing that we have a fantasy idea that we and Eddie George can stand against the world all alone, never mind the global economy, never mind anything else. Our future is in Europe. We belong in Europe. We are European, and we need to protect ourselves against these global climates by being part of it.
Come back on this. You've heard Polly's answer.
I'm not a little Englander at all, but as a biologist, as a research scientist, I know that in a state of massive instability, strength is in diversity, not in lumping things together so that you've got huge, monstrous organisations that can fall.
But when you're talking about the relations, we at the moment have got just about the highest interest rates in Europe.
That's right.
The highest in the European Union.
Decided by an undemocratic body.
Exactly. And all the other countries are much, much lower than we are.
There were 15 million unemployed, Ted, in the European Union. That's a hell of a lot of people. That's an awful lot of people.
Look what's happening now under your government. Unemployment's going up again.
Yeah, but look at nationalism in Germany, look at the French Le Pen. It's all coming out of that.
That as far as currency is concerned, we are in a far worse position. And if this new arrangement forces us to bring our interest rates down to the level which the others have got, everybody here will be better off.
Right. The man in the grey shirt, yes, the
I would like to say to Ms Toynbee that we in Britain may not always be right, we may not always be best, but we would like to be able to choose.
Well, on that point, Tony Benn is forgetting one thing, which is that when Ted Heath's government went out and Harold Wilson's government came in, Tony Benn was a troublesome member of the cabinet and caused Harold Wilson to have a referendum. We had a referendum. We had endless public meetings and debates and television programmes, and he lost. And the fact is the British people decided, rightly, to stay in, and that hasn't stopped Tony Benn continuing to argue his view, but the people had a democratic referendum.
But, David, there was no mention of a single currency in 1970.
No,
I know, but the point is where you make a major... The
whole thing was fought on the basis of complete union.
Well,
economically, financially, and politically.
Ted, in
now, you may object to it, but that was the basis of the referendum.
You mustn't argue old battles, but when you were elected in 17...
they're rather fun, I think.
My mandate is to negotiate nothing more and nothing less. And you took us in without asking...
No, but at the referendum. But Mr Heath was talking about... Sir Edmund was talking about at the referendum.
But it wasn't about a single currency.
Did you not expect a single currency when you fought against the referendum? Did you never mention the possibility?
Not at all. Not only that, but you look at all all the government literature with no reference to anything other than a trading
But we're going
arrangement.
to have a referendum.
all right.
We're not going,
Absolutely.
We're
we're
going to have a
going
referendum now, and that
Go
may
and,
be
go
because
and
of a
turn
bit of
it up
trouble.
and read it again. Absolute nonsense.
Edward Heath, when you took Britain in, did you expect it to come so quickly at the end of this century to a single currency? Do you think it would come into existence?
It was all planned at the summit meeting in Paris in October 1972 to be completed by 1980.
Why
It's
didn't you
all
tell
laid
us
out
that?
there.
Why didn't you tell us that?
You were sent copies of the communique.
Yeah, but
and
it wasn't,
you didn't read
say
it. You
we'll
didn't
give
read
up
it.
our currency and hand power to
But
central
all of
banks.
this was interfered with by the war in the Gulf and the resultant control of oil, which put up all the prices fourfold and knocked all of us sideways. That was what caused the trouble.
The man in the second row here.
Polly Toynbee completely overlooks the fact that there isn't unanimity on the continent for the euro. The Germans were never given a referendum. Their government forced it on them. More than 50% of them consistently say they don't want it. The Maastricht Treaty only just passed the referendum in France. The Danes don't want it. The Swedes don't want it. It's not as if we're alone. This is a deeply flawed idea. Tony Benn is absolutely right. The point here is democratic accountability is the power of people to control the people who rule them.
All right, well, let's see.
The Germans have gone on returning the same party in government for 16 years.
Not much longer,
They don't object to it.
Let's.
Passion for
Can
referendum.
we just remind ourselves we are going to have a referendum on the euro, and I think there are many unemployed people in this country because of the excessively high value of the pound who will vote to go into the euro because the pound will come down, interest rates will come down, and investment will go up. And that can only be for the benefit of this country.
Let's have our own referendum. Are you in favour of Britain joining a single currency? %37% in favour, 42% against, 21% undecided.
The referendum will decide it.
But the you see, the referendum.
The 21% is crucial.
Yes.
But, David,
you think you'll get the
opposed
21%?
referendum in 1975. Do you remember?
I took part in it.
You opposed it because Jeremy Thorpe made a very violent
trouble is
attack
the
on me
people
when I
of this
advocated
country
it.
haven't been
I mean,
given
this is
any
history
information.
now, but you